Welcome to this policymaker session within the EUdemos project. We are very happy to receive to host Enrique Barón. He has both legal and an economist ground, and he had a very long experience, political experience, first in Spain within the Spanish government. For instance, he was a member of the government that concluded the negotiations of Spain with the European Union. And then he was for almost 25 years within the European Parliament. He became his president. Um, he has always been concerned with Europe and with the evolution of the European Union. Uh, and nowadays, he is currently the president of the European Foundation for the Information Society, and as well from the information of the Foundation for uh, uh, Yehudi Menuhin. We are very happy to host Enrique Barón. Thank you very much for being here, and I give the floor to you. Thank you very much. I think we are still having some problems with the connection. Our speaker left and entered again. Look at how is the situation.
Dr. Crespo has have some problem to connect. He tried, but he cannot joining the Zoom session. I beg you to waiting for a few moments, please.
Vamos a ver.
Ahora sí.
Ahora ya. Y ahora, y la cámara, seleccionar una cámara. Pues la que tengo. Aquí.
Ok, está hablando
Sí.
con todo el...
Muy bien. Pues yo creo que... ¿me oyen? ¿Me escuchan? A ver.
Sí, doctor.
¿No me ven?
No.
Estoy tratando de desbloquear la cámara. A ver. ¿Con quién tengo el gusto?
Soy Lucas Anna, el director ejecutivo del
Pues
CESO.
lo hemos conseguido. ¿En qué idioma quieren que trabajemos?
En inglés.
¿En Globish?
En Globish.
Sí, lo hablamos todos igual de mal. Y no está Shakespeare presente.
We are all here.
How shall we... Do you follow me? Yeah. May I speak? Yeah?
The floor is yours.
Well, good morning to everybody. And, we have been able to overcome this technical challenge. You have invited me to speak about the challenges for the European Union. I'm not going to repeat the litanies of problems all over the world. I think that to quote an old friend and a man that has made a very sound report. Well, two Italian Europeans that have made very sound proposals, Mario Draghi and Enrico Letta. I have worked with both of them when I was fighting for the Treaty of Maastricht. Mario Draghi was the Director General of the Treasury in Italy. And I have listened very attentively to him after reading the report when he was released the prize Princesa de Asturias a week ago. And he made a very short speech. He always speaks shortly. That for an European and particularly an Italian is a challenge. And he said, well, the question is that we need to become a federation. And in this proposal, he agrees with the work that we have been making, building a European Union in peace since the declaration, the Schuman Declaration of 9th of May 1950, because at the end, it's a very short and a very clear declaration. And at the end, it says we have to build an European federation. We have made step by step most of the work, but now we have to crown. Now, excuse me, they attacked me on the phone. So instead of making a long speech, I think that the best method I propose is to get precise and short questions and to debate, because it's clear that both reports, my biography, and I think that we must be able, and it's our duty, to crown the long fight, the long struggle to make an European Union in peace and in a multilateral world. And the main risk that we are facing, and I say this with sorrow, is to see that now we are coming back in history to a world in which, well, instead of a multilateral world in the framework of the UN United Nations system, now we are running the risk of having a kind of balance of the great powers, but not like in the Congress of Wien after the defeat of Napoleon. It's now the Holy Alliance. Now they are the big powers are playing with nuclear power, and this increases the need to have a strong and united European Union. So I am ready to get questions. Who will break the ice?
Okay, to start with, and to give some more time to students to prepare possible questions, they can send them through the chat, and I will communicate them to you. I mean, Mario Draghi, in his speech, he was talking of federalism, but he was talking about pragmatic federalism. He was even talking about the possibility of moving forward those who will like to move forward. So a sort of coalition of the willing within the European Union, because he knows that, I mean, to move all together sometimes is extremely difficult. What's your view about this possibility?
Well, this is not a possibility. The reinforced cooperation is in the treaties. The question is not to, well, you are adding pragmatism to federalism. Federalism is not a faith, it's not a religion. Federalism is, well, I'm not going to make a definition by federalism because the debate on the Federalist Papers, and I made an essay 10 years ago, La Era del Federalismo, in which, well, I'm not going to define. I do think that federalism is to work together, accepting the personality of and the capacity of each one. And since the beginning, we have been pragmatic. And this is in the Schuman Declaration. This is step by step. It's not to say we didn't begin. The founding fathers, they didn't begin by drafting a constitution. They were trying to overcome a secular history of fighting in internecine struggles, and this definition is not mine. Is in the debate of the Federalist Papers. That is a fundamental debate in the creation of the United States of America. I think it's from well, Hamilton or Jay. No? But this word is very important, and the question is not to say that you are going to build on a previous plan. No, you are, and this is the history of the European construction. You are trying to share on common values and the respect of the former enemies, you are trying to, in everyday life, to build this in a framework with under the rule of law and with the protection of an independent court and building a democratic system. This means with democratic representation and with a power in which the parliament and the executive, they can share the legislative power, respecting values and supporting this in these values, the respect of human rights and elected officials. This was not made at the beginning. The criteria, the democratic conditions in order to join the European Union, they were defined in the summit of Copenhagen at the beginning of the 90s, and the treaties, they began in the 50s. But coming back to your question, the question is that are we in this moment in which our existence is, well, not only in risk, we have to defend our values, and we have to have a policy, a, a, a policy of security and defense, and I think this is the main priority. Not, are you listening me? Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, we are listening.
Yeah, because you disappeared. Yeah, no, they there are in your question there are some aspects that, for example, the creation of the European Community of Defense was planned and was agreed by 5 of the 6 parliaments in 1954. It was blocked in France in the Assemblée Nationale, and we are trying to not to overcome this directly, but to build first the community. A single market is the base of this, and we were able to add, and I was at that time president of the Parliament, European Parliament, to add the citizenship and the currency and the legislative power. But we are in this moment, it's not a question of accepting to be blocked, because we are fighting for our survival, and I am in favor of deciding most of all the important things in common by qualified majority. It's not. It's already in the treaties, and I think that this is the best system in order to go forward and to make progress. Well, the question is of political will and the political capacity.
And will you say that there is political will nowadays to solve the challenges? Because Draghi, just a few weeks ago, he was analyzing the steps forward for complying with the Draghi report, and he said, well, there is only 10% that has been attained, and a year has passed, and we do not have much more time, so we have to act now. Do you think there is real political will to act and to really change the situation nowadays?
No, but the question is not so much of changing the situation. We have to face the situation and to try to overcome the challenges and the risks. It's not that we can live forever, sharing many things and having been able of creating in Europe in peace. Now we have to face a world of invasion, but most of the continent is in peace and is ready and willing to defend what we have got. We have been able to build together. This is not a question of conversion or a miracle. The question is, and my political experience, first as constitutional father in Spain, well, now the question is not to say that the problems are very serious and having angst and being paralyzed. The question is to find answers. And in Europe, I can assure you that, for example, in '89, well, most of the people, they were thinking that the Iron Curtain, that it was the Berlin Wall, could fall in a quarter of a century or half a century for the optimist. So the question is to face and to have the courage to change, not to make a prognosis or saying, well, they are not able. And I think that the majority of Europeans, they share the core values of the Union, and not only the core values is, for example, we are living now in a union in which we had 27 currencies fighting each other, and people, they think and they live in euros, and this is the everyday value. And so I'm not, I think that we have to be decisive, and not only to make analysis. And this is what I appreciate, for example, in the case of people like Draghi and Letta, is we are not satisfied with what we have got. The question is, well, that we must achieve for us and for the world what we began after the end of the long civil war among Europeans. That was, well, this history of the most of the 20th century. So in this question, I cannot make forecasts saying, well, this will not be possible. I think that we must and try to follow and to fight in order not to live a long decay. And these political forces, well, I think that this is a good question. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. You've been in the European Parliament for almost 25 years. Could you give us a view of how the Parliament has evolved, and which are the main challenges that you think the Parliament is facing nowadays?
Well, the main one is in this moment the Parliament is debating a very important question, the core of the work of the parliament is the budget. And we are discussing the financial perspectives for 7 years. Just this morning, I read the newsletter in EUROACTIV, the position of the main political families in the European Parliament. I do think that they are, in this sense, that they are playing a constructive role and trying to define in the basic priorities. I do think that this work must be followed. At the same time, there is a very important question in order and essential for life question for the parliament and for the citizens is to, if you want to have a federal system, well, the fiscal dimension is an important one. We are working and making steps, but this is from the democratic point of view. The second challenge for the parliament is to be able to apply the co-decision. We were able to make this breakthrough in the Maastricht Treaty, but the parliament must be able to work as a sound legislative, co-legislative power. And I do think that there is a point in which the political families and the members of the parliament must be must face the responsibilities is that we are working with a de facto coalition, and I think that sometimes we are running the risk of getting a kind of I was speaking of the Congress of Wien at the beginning. I think that we must be able to take this into account because we run the risk of repeating a situation as the Congress of Wien at the beginning of the 19th century, with the at that time the Tsar as garant, as warrant of, and the question is, in everyday life, not to try to replace the majority that can move forward Europe with a tactic game, well, relying on the national or priorities. I do think that this is a real risk, but well, we must be able to overcome. You have reminded me that I was 23 years in the European Parliament. Well, when we arrived at the Spaniards, it was the second important enlargement. We were 12 countries, a parliament with 518 members. Now we are 27 countries. We were 28, and the British, I think that they are reconsidering the situation. I do think that in the question of defense and security, they are present, but well, this has changed in a decisive way, and we must be able to work in with the mind and the will of a federalist system. this is not unique in history, and we are always looking to the to our past protector or main partner, the United States, but you have democratic countries like India and many others, Canada, Mexico, Australia, Argentina. So they are countries that they are federal, and they are good examples that we are living in the era of federalism, replacing the past power system, the big power system, the coalition of, well, in Europe we had the experiences, we have known all the political systems, the dictatorship, empires, absolutist monarchies, constitutional monarchies, republics. Well, now the question is not the definition in a treaty. The question is that we must be able to federate, to achieve the process of federalism that we are working with, and in this sense, the German debate is interesting, in which the jurisprudence and they speak of not of federation, but of a process of creating a federation, and this is we must take this in mind. So I think that the European Parliament has been able to become a parliament as such, but now it must be must face its responsibilities, and one of them is, well, to develop on our main priorities, to develop reinforce cooperation that must become the rule. Is well, in my personal experience, is that this is not only a challenge; it's a process of I would say of sound re-education and of research of new formulas.
You you know that the European integration process has always been a consensus, an agreement between center right and center left, with some complementary contributions, mainly from the liberals and in the later years as well from the Greens. Do you see that this is also the future for the European Union? Do you see this at risk because of the growth of extreme left and extreme right? What's your opinion about it?
Well, first, to be precise, and this is I would say this is a Spanish problem, but we say the process was made on consensus. Consensus is the final result when you made a negotiation. For example, not only referring to Europe. Yesterday, the two presidents that have the vocation of emperors, Trump and Xi, they met in South Korea, and And it's very interesting. I was reading this morning in the New York Times the statements they made. Well, Trump, you know that he is explosive. No, we are friends. Well, it's wonderful. No problem. And she was more problem. But the question is, we have forgotten that how was the process. The process was not blackmailing. Was a process of hard negotiation, and they have got a deal, but in process. And when we made, for example, the Spanish Constitution, and when I have the experience of having been working in the breakthrough of the Treaty of Maastricht and the following ones, Amsterdam, Nice, and the romantic and very interesting experience of the European Convention for the Constitution. Yeah. Well, the question is not the consensus is when you have reached an agreement. Is not that people were happy meeting every day. For example, I was elected in '89 because there was not only an agreement between, at that time, the Christian Democratic and Socialist group. The question is that the Socialist group was the first minority at that time. It was blocked by an agreement from the center right till the end. Well, we were able, not only the main political groups, we were able to understand that we needed stability. At that time, it was the Delors process, the creation of the European monetary system, and to face an unprecedented challenge like it was the falling of the Berlin Wall. But to consider that there was a consensus, no, they were very hard negotiations and blockage. So I do think that in this sense, to say consensus is not a miracle, and it can be a misleading concept, because the political fight and political struggle, and this is part of democracy. Well, you must try to face challenges with your own views and your proposals. And one of the main values, or the main facts that we have learned, Europeans, is, well, to replace violence and oppression by negotiation and by agreement on values. But this is not the end of history. And well, about the the power of the extreme right or the extreme left. Well, in a democratic system, people get elected according to their views, but it's true that they are very vocal, challenging or making attacks on the European construction. But it's very, there is a very interesting question, is that in this moment, we are in a union in which no country that has adopted the euro has renounced to the euro. Remember the Greek experience. No country has left the union looking to other alliances, and there is an insatisfaction in the way that we are making progress or defending our position. But when you say that, when you see that the extreme right, that they are trying to shape a Europe as a community of proud nations and that can make agreements when they are interested. Well, when you look to Hungary, for example, that is the most vocal. Well, they are every day. Orban is every day denouncing the community and trying to play his own role or with an alliance or playing with Russia. But the question is, has he renounced to the funds that he gets from the union? This is you know that you can be very aggressive and make big statements, but the question of the budget is a central one. Well, he has not renounced, and at the same time, well, they are noisy, but they are not able even to define an alternative to our political and economic system. And so I do think that I wouldn't say that there is not alternative, but I consider that in this moment, and this is a moment in which we are living an open, creative constitutional process with more than 10 countries that are trying, European countries that are trying to join the European Union. Well, the question is that they can be very aggressive in the speeches, but there is not an alternative as such. And one more question, one more reflection, because we are not talking about the question of the budgetary powers or the strategies that we must implement in order to be a strong and creative economy adapting to new times. But at the same time, the main challenge, and we cannot postpone it, is to give life to this community of security and defense, because we have to protect with what we have done, and this is a question of life or death for me.
Thank you very much. We are close to the end of the session, but just let me ask you a couple of more questions regarding the future of the European Union. As you said before, the budget is essential, and during the crisis, the COVID crisis, the Union reacted, approving these next generation funds, huge funds that have helped a lot member states in problems. When now we are discussing the future of the budget for the next 7 years, and some people say that the proposal of the European Commission has not been sufficiently ambitious, and that is not a good starting point for the debate. I would like to know your opinion about it. And the other question is, as you also mentioned, enlargement. Can we make enlargement without reforming the union? Do you think that the reform of the union is absolutely necessary and previous to the enlargement? What's your view about it?
Well, two precise questions: ambition and budget. There was a Mexican politician that said that this in political life, this who lives out of the budget lives out of the world. So you can make a lot of speeches. You can make a lot of criticism of the governments and so on. But the question in political life, well, in home, at home, and in life, the question of the budget, etc. When you are saying that it lacks of ambition, I think this is the beginning of the debate, and it must be so. But the question is, the core of the question is, when you are saying this, at the same time, you must take into account that how do you get the funds to spend? Not only from the states, because at the end is the citizens are paying, and the tax question is well, all main revolutions in history, they have begun with with taxes. So this, but what I have seen, for example, in the beginning of the debate for the first financial framework, I do think that they are that the joint proposals of EPP, socialists and liberals and Greens, I think, I'm not sure, yeah, but the main stream, the main forces of the parliament, well, I do think that there is ground in order to make progress, and ambition, yes, but when you are speaking of ambition, you must say who pays the bill, because it's not what we there is a British press definition that when we arrived to the European Parliament, for us it was, we were asking what did it mean? Is the gravy train? Have you heard about this? The gravy train means that, well, that you are paid in order to get an easy ride for the with gravy, so eating well, making fish and so on. So this is not a gravy train process, and for example, the questions of the transition to in energy to the fossil sources to renewable well is a very big challenge. But you must not only try to defend it, but at the same time, how are we able to invest and to make the change? And this is too a main challenge for the main European industries. And I do think I think that, for example, in the current commission, the fact that there is a commissioner charged with this means that it's becoming a policy of the union. So, and the second part, because I think I have time to, on reform of the treaties. I think, well, I have been working for reform of the treaties and change. And I think that the main leap, not because I was in charge of the parliament, was made in Maastricht for one reason, is when it was the first opportunity to the parliament to become a grown-up institution. Why? Because until then, the treaties were discussed by the governments, the council, and the commission was acceding to power. but the parliament had the right, well, to make utopic proposals, but they were not related. The first crisis that gave parliament power were related to the budget, to the rejection of the budget in 1983, I think. Yeah? And in 89, we were able to negotiate the co-decision. This was a key question, because now, at that time, it was, well, to be able to sit on the, and then the reforms of the treaties. The question is, what do you want to reform and how? Because you can make a reform, a progressive reform and a regressive one, going backwards. So I am very prudent, because when you say reform of the treaties, at the beginning, all governments and all political system, they will be on alert, because some of them, they need to make referenda. You have Ireland, you have Denmark, you have, and at the same time, well, they must be, they are aware of the fact that it's not so easy to change what is a part of your power and your history. And then on reform, well, there was a point of reform approved in the convention, not in the Constitutional Convention of 1995, 96, when the referenda of Holland and France. Well, there was a proposal to change the composition of the commission. That was not applied. That was and and in this moment, well, this is an open process, but it's not so easy to become member of the club. I have lived experience in government, and after the speeches, you must see how you pay the count. And I do think that one of the reasons to achieve the process of a federation is that with the current system, you cannot have a workable system if you don't change things. But the question is not to ask for only for the reform of the treaties, is to debate and to make proposals in order to work as a federation. And this is not so easy.
Okay, thank you very much. We are very grateful for this for your participation in this policymaker session, and I hope the students have enjoyed this dialogue and your contributions. Thank you very much again.
I'm always ready for Europe and for the young people.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. All the best.
All the best.